Hello and welcome to Wave Clinical Support. I see from your case you have a patient who's previously worn gas perm spherical lenses and you're switching them to wave lenses. Unfortunately, the patient's experiencing very blurred vision and you're getting contradictory results with your over-refractive data. And this is one of those situations where you have a pretty straightforward looking case. The corneas look pretty spherical, and your baseline refractions are pretty straightforward, and this looks like it would be a slam dunk. Unfortunately, you're finding that you're struggling with the designs. And this is one of those weird cases that we all run into once in a while where it just doesn't seem to make sense. Well, if we look here at your designs for a moment, we're going to start with this right eye. We see this cornea looks pretty straightforward. We have very spherical corneas. And if we look at your designs, these actually look like very nicely lined designs on here. I don't see anything really wrong with that. Although I think what's probably happening is, I know you chose this G-Sim lens, and if you remember, that's basically a back surface toric lens. And I know you probably chose it to try to get this really nicely aligned, and I've done that before myself. Probably what's most likely happening in this situation is that Wave is trying to create a toric lens for this patient, and because there's not that much corneal toricity, it's not able to hold this lens in position, and you're probably getting some rotation, whether it be from lid interactions or not, which is probably leading to some of that strange, almost oblique over-refractions. The same thing if we look at your left eye, and your left eye has a little more cylinder to work with. You have some, about a half corneal cylinder. The refraction, if I believe, is about a diopter, so you have a little bit of probably lenticular cylinder to deal with. But if we look right here again, you've got a really nicely aligned lens in this G-Sim design, and it seems like it would be very straightforward. But once again, my guess is that Wave is creating, based on the G-Sim, sort of a bitoric design, if you will, or a back surface design is what I should say, back surface toric, and the cornea is not toric enough to hold that position, and you're probably getting some oblique cross cylinders when you're over-refracting the patient. So what can we do to kind of fix that? I didn't see from your results how the patient did in their prior lenses other than they went back to them. I'm not so sure if they have an over-refraction of a cylinder over-refraction in the old lenses or not, but what I'd probably do is go back to some basics on here. If we look back at this right eye, I would probably switch this to an RSIM lens, and that'll take out that back surface toricity, which might be causing some issues with some cylinder. Just redesign that, just clean it up a little bit here with your design. I know you're having a little trouble with these lenses aligning. You might even want to work on making this zone here a little bit bigger, the blue to pink dot. If you remember, that's the landing zone of these lenses. That's what really kind of lines that with the cornea. And so sometimes if we get that part a little bit bigger, by maybe moving these dots in a little bit more, maybe 6 to 7, that might get this area a little bit larger, a little bit more aligned. And I'll let Wave finish doing its calculating here. Okay. Now I get a lens that's still quite nicely lined through here. This should fit quite well. I like the fact that it's a little thicker here. That'll keep that lens from floating around too much. And I would think this lens will probably work better. Now there's a great little tool in case you haven't discovered it yet. If you go down under here, Tools, if you go to Trial Lens Data, you can actually enter in their old base curve of their other lenses, their prior power. And if you had any over-refractive data from that, you can add it in right here. And this is a great tool for getting those lenses closer on that first try with patients. And I think that hopefully will get you back on track. The left eye would probably follow similar suit. I think if ultimately you end up with a lens that has like a front toric power on it, I think it's better off if you start off getting a nice back surface spherical lens. Go back here to RSIM. Let Wave design a lens based on that. We'll give it a moment here to calculate. And if we just, I might try one more thing to see if we can get this a little bit larger. Let's bring this down here, about 6. 7, oh, you're probably okay. We can bring this in here if you want a little bit, snug that up a little bit. You can bring these a little bit tighter in if you want. But this actually lends well, even though we've got a little bit of a lift here. I think you'll find that since you're under that 20 micron line, I think you'll still have a very nicely fitting lens. And again, that'll take out the potential for wave to interpret the cylinder on that back surface. And then, again, we'd incorporate the over-refractive data. Again, if you have good over-refraction data from their old lenses that they had to go back to, you can include that right here, and this will get this lens very similar to what you, I think, get a little closer to where you're heading. Just hit cancel. And then now, if you have over-refractive data, you've got a lens that's a little bit, you're not getting weird induced cylinders from that lens. Now I think if you have to add in any over-refractive cylinder, I think you'll have a much more likelihood of being successful with that. So hopefully that'll get you where you need to be. And once again, thank you for contacting Wave Support, and I wish you well with this case. Have a great day.